Hi, welcome to the Brief Book Reviews channel, otherwise known as An Old Guy Reviews the Book that he's read this week. What's the old guy read this week? Well, the book I've read this week is this one. It's called Not Quite Dead Yet by author Holly Jackson. It was published by Penguin Michael Joseph as a hardback here in the UK on the 17th of July 2025, and it's the sixth book for Holly Jackson. I think previous books, and including one that it mentions on the cover, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, it was focused on the young adult sector. This one is definitely for adults. So what's it all about, I hear you say? Well, central character is called Jet, real name Margaret. Jet Mason, 27, currently living at home in Woodstock, Vermont with her parents, her father Scott, mother Diane. They are one of the wealthier families in Woodstock, Vermont. Her father has had a company called Mason Construction for many years, and they've gone from originally just a construction company to working on property development. They've taken old houses and they've built them to mega posh houses, so they've made a lot of money. Jet's brother Luke doesn't live with them anymore. He's married. Jet's childhood friend from school, Sophia, and Luke is basically looking forward to his father's retirement so he can take over Mason Construction. So that's the setting where the story starts. The story kicks off with Jet going to a Halloween event. All the town of Woodstock are attending. Everybody's dressed up. Kids are doing trick or treat. And Jet sees a few people she knows. Jet's got a bit of a wicked sense of humour. She's not always well. She's got a thing called PKD, polycystic kidney disease, which you get a 50-50 chance of getting it from your parents. Her dad's got it, Jet's got it, brother Luke was lucky, he hasn't got it. But it makes her unwell. So she's had a bit of a checkered career so far. She's tried going to further education, but had to quit that because it was too much. She wasn't well. She's tried working in Boston in a legal firm. That didn't work out well either because of stress and PKD. So it's always, I'll do something tomorrow, I'll do it later. And she's returned home and is feeling perhaps a little bit sorry for herself when she attends the Halloween event. She's got a wicked sense of humour and she's a bit sarcastic. So she's a bit of a lively personality as our Jet. So sees a former ex, doesn't want to talk to him, and decides it's time to go home. Gets met by their dog Reggie, who she adores, and next thing she knows, she's getting battered on the back of the head, and Jet is being brutally attacked in her own home at the end after she's returned from the Halloween event. She wakes up in hospital, and clearly she's not well. She's got massive bandages around her skull. She's been attacked, been hammered on the back of the skull, and she sees her family sitting around her bedside, and she gradually comes to, and she's thinking, hang on, this lot are looking a bit gloomy, but looks like I'm all right, even though my head feels as though, clearly somebody's put something rather heavy towards it. And she comes around and finally sees the doctor, Dr. Lee, and Dr. Lee again is looking not that happy, and Jet's thinking, what's going on here? And Dr. Lee explains that her skull has been fractured where somebody's attacked her. They've managed to remove a massive blood clot by draining the blood, and they've managed to basically patch her up with mesh and metal so that she could survive the attack. And Jess can feel there's a but coming here. So she survived a vicious attack. And the but is there's a small piece of bone. It's called the clivus bone, and it's a fracture, and that's working its way loose. The problem is that because she's got this PKD, polycystic kidney disease, her artery walls are thin, and Dr. Lee says, I'm afraid there's some bad news. It's like this. We can operate to try and remove this piece of floating bone, but frankly, there's only about a 10% chance of that working. Or we can just let it go and it will eventually become an aneurysm and you will die. And basically, you've got 7 days to live. So Jet's sort of thinking, well, chances aren't good. So basically, I've got a 90% chance of dying in surgery, or I've got 7 days to live. And her mother, she had a younger sister called Emily who died in a tragic swimming pool accident. So her mother is saying, "Oh, you must have the surgery. You must have the surgery." And her dad is saying, "Well, it's of course it's up to you, Jet." And Jet's thinking, "They're all round here. They want me to have the surgery, but it's up to me. And for once, I'm going to find out who murdered me." So, as we can tell by the strapline on the front of the book, the hardest murder to solve is your own. So Jet decides that she's not going to have the surgery, and she's going to use the 7 days that she's got left to live to find the murderer. And that, folks, is basically the tale. Jet enlists the help of childhood friend Billy. Billy's working in a bar. He's a budding musician. But him and Jet were best friends when they were very young. They used to go sliking together until they got to a slightly older school where Jet met Sophia and they became besties. But Billy's still clearly smitten by Jet and he offers to help. So this is the tale of Jet, who's only got 7 days to live, going through the clues. The police are going, "Oh, well, obviously we'll investigate this." And she's trying to find out what's going on. And it's a small town, and I guess common for many thrillers. There are people who aren't what they seem. There are lots of people with secrets. There are lots of things going on that Jet finds out in a way. Not always via legal means. And she says to Billy at one point, "Oh, I'm really sorry about this." And he's going, "God, it's the most fun I've had for ages," So it's really, really fast-moving book because Jet's on a timeline. She's got 7 days to find out who murdered her. So full of action, full of humour. There's lots of humour from Jet. It's somewhat sarcastic, snidey humour at times, but you get engaged with the character and you're rooting for her. Does she succeed in finding the murderer? Well, you'll have to read the book to find that out. All I'll say is that I saw a review on Amazon of this book and said Holly Jackson dials it up to 11 on this book, and I couldn't agree more because there's no fluff in this book. This is right full on Jet trying to find out who's murdered her against the deadline, and it's full action stuff. So in fact, in the acknowledgements at the end of the book, the author starts off by saying ... and breathe, because it's that sort of a thriller. It's well and truly dialed up to 11. I really enjoyed it. It's a fairly unique premise of someone having to solve their own murder. Lots of twists and turns, and it's well done. Empathise with the characters. The characters are well drawn. It's a really, really good read. The story itself is 425 pages. And I have to say, I really enjoyed it. So I think that's it for this week's brief book review. As I said, thoroughly recommend this book. Go out and get it from your local bookshop. I think that's it for this week. 10:10 to do it again. Thanks for watching.